Kennedy Aseda is my name. I always introduce myself. In the past, I used to introduce myself as a firefighter. So if there is a fire, my work was to turn out the fire in the past. Nowadays, my work is to carry boxes so that people are able to deliver what they need to deliver. So my work is to facilitate others to actually be great. So I serve as the CTO at KENET, and today I'll be speaking to you about how higher education in Kenya is teaching using technology. So I have tweaked it a little bit from what I was asked to speak about. So to ensure that we are all here and we are not working, how many of us are teachers or lecturers? Aha, that's good. How many are not teachers or lecturers? So those who have not carried their hands, either not with us or yeah, good, yeah. So I think, and then how many are from learning institutions, university, school, institute? Aha, research? Any from research? Ah, good, good. Yeah, so I think I'll just quickly move forward. So I'll just give you a brief of who KENET is, maybe why we just deliberate on why we need e-learning. So I think I'll speak for about 20 minutes, and then we can have a discussion for 10 minutes. Yeah, so why we need e-learning? What do you need to actually teach with technology? And then some cases of how KENET is supporting the education institutions in Kenya to actually teach with technology, and then what are we looking at as the future. So as Duncan of TENET highlighted, KENET was formed a long time ago in 1999 by some universities. We were calling them founder universities. There were 5. And the idea was to facilitate integration of ICT in teaching, learning, and research, yeah? And some of the objectives, so KENET also had some objectives, and one of them was to ensure that the institutions enjoy affordable, high-speed connectivity, what I think the teams earlier spoke about as the foundational. But then there was also to teach with technology, and that was in 1999, and teach over the internet, yeah? So nowadays we are seeing that actually happening. Currently, KENET has about slightly over 500 campuses, about 520 campuses, a few schools also. And the key is we try to advance digital transformation and digital inclusion in educational institutions in Kenya. So this is the map of Kenya. I think the map of Kenya, let me see. Does this work? Ah, yeah, it works with this. Yeah, so the population of Kenya, there is a railway that was done a long time ago that runs from the coast of Kenya into somewhere in Uganda, yeah? So the population of Kenya follows that railway line. 80% of the population here follow the railway line, 150 kilometers north of the line and 150 kilometers south of the line, all the way to the border in Uganda. So you'll find that most of Kenya's population is along this route, and when you go to the north, the population is a little bit sparsely populated. But as KENET, we actually have presence in the northern parts of the country, from Mandera to Wajir to Lodwar on this other end. We have presence in Marsabit, so even in the northern parts, because the education institutions are always set up all over the country so that each and every citizen is able to enjoy some education. So now, I think we now commence with why do you think you need to adopt e-learning? Yeah, so why would we need e-learning? I think I can get from those who are teachers. I think you can get maybe at your institution, why do you think we need e-learning? Anyone to give it an attempt?
Yes, thank you very much. One of the things that I tell people is the younger people are very, very clear with technology. We need to teach them the way they want to learn, hence e-learning.
Okay, thank you. I think she'll help me to move the mic. Any other, why we would need? Even at your institution, why you think you'd need e-learning at your institution?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm from Busitema once again. I think one is scalability and flexibility in terms of the wider reach that you can get when you offer your services electronically. Two is it's demand driven. Because technology is changing and the modes of delivery also has to change. Okay. And three is related to the aspect of, you want to learn from anywhere and at any time. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think those were good points that we have received. So first, a disclaimer, I'm not a teacher. I'm just a trained engineer. So one other thing, so these are just, and for each institution or for each setup, the reason or the need for the e-learning or teaching with technology will vary. It's not standardized across institutions, yeah? And I think it is also common knowledge that in Africa, the population is increasing, and in some places, I know like the case for Kenya, the classroom, the number of classrooms being built is not following the population growth, yeah? So over time, we have to see the computer labs are not being increased at the rate of growth of student population. So is it possible that we can start integrating technology in teaching? Is it possible that we can provide those who are not able to come to the traditional classroom some opportunity to also have some structured education through technology, yeah? So I'll just take you through just some brief of, it's not an exhaustive list, but some of the things that are needed if, say, you want to teach with technology or to do e-learning, yeah? So there is a part where you need of infrastructure, then there is a human resource, as well as capacity building for some of the teams that you'll be having. In terms of infrastructure, I know we all know about technology. You need connectivity, not just inside the campus, but outside the campus as well. Yeah, because now we would like the students, even if they're not able to come into the classroom, is it possible that they can join the class from wherever they are? Okay, that's one thing. But also the teacher, maybe something has happened and the teacher is not in the campus. Is it possible that they can also continue or teach instead of postponing the class, yeah? So that is one of the things. Then there is end user devices. These can be personal devices either by students or faculty or staff, but also some devices or computers inside the computer labs or in some learning resource centers or library. There are devices that are needed, yeah, to be able to enable the users to access the content or to connect to the classrooms. Then there is learning management system. I think I'll not belabor that. We all know, but yeah, for ensuring that we are able to disseminate the course content, to do assessments, to do some quizzes, and so on and so forth. Then there is library, yeah, so that we enable our users to be able to borrow books, even for a 2-week period. They're able to get some part of the text in PDF, and then after probably the 2 weeks, it's no longer able to open, and so on and so forth. There are different ways of enabling that, yeah, but to allow the students from wherever they are to be able, or the stakeholders from wherever they are, to access subscribed library services, yeah, so that they don't have to come to the campus or to be in the library to actually borrow books. Then there is a video web conferencing. We can speak about our Zooms, our Teams, our Google Meets, our Big Blue Buttons, and so on and so forth. Then Something else is virtual labs or digital labs, yeah? When you're doing practical courses, yeah? That can be probably in engineering, it can be in medicine, it can be in nursing, and so on and so forth. There is a part where the student needs to do some practical work, and if we are having students who are being taught using technology, we have spoken about how the population is growing, then we have to also see, is it possible to integrate labs to actually be done using technology, yeah? There can be simulations, they could be actually probably just some assignments, but let us see, is it possible to also integrate technology in how we are doing or conducting labs? And then how are we assessing? Yeah, is it possible that we can also assess using technology? Is it possible to do proctored assessment where the students are remote? Do we need to have probably some test centers where now students go to the nearest test centers and not inside the university, but then they're able to do the exams from the test centers, but proctored. In terms of HR, also not exhaustive. You need some faculty, some instructional designers to help the faculty to develop the content, yeah? Because the faculty is a subject matter expert in their domain. They may not be subject matter experts in developing and engaging content for teaching with technology. Then there is definitely a team to coordinate all that, as well as the IT team that mostly will be under yourselves or under the ICT department. Then for capacity building is to continuously train the faculty on how to teach with the technology, how to use these tools, how to develop the content, and how to assess. So quickly, how are we supporting our institutions? So I think these are also just go quickly. So in terms of infrastructure, yes, as Renu does here, we provide some connectivity that is not only affordable, but we also focus on the quality and also to support our institutions, yeah? So that the actual end users who are students, faculty, and staff are able to find value or have a good experience using the connectivity. We also help inside the campus to just ensure that the campus network is able to serve its purpose, yeah? There was a time during COVID, we also engaged through the mobile network operators, some discounted bundles, so that to access educational content, you would actually get a subsidized bundle, probably about 30% of the normal data bundles on the phone, so that if you are attending a class or you are accessing some library services, then it would be at a lower cost compared to if you are probably accessing, you are doing TikTok and the rest, even though there are those who are arguing that TikTok is also educational. They can use TikTok videos for purposes of teaching. Then there are many other options, basically the tools for web conferencing or teaching online. We run a platform called KENET web conferencing, but also support our institutions with the rollout of learning management systems based on Moodle, some device acquisition programs, and so on and so forth. But also on capacity building, we do a few other things, and I believe the slides will be circulated to the participants, so you can go through the rest of the items. So at KENET, we also have touched on this. We support the institutions to actually set up, operate learning management systems based on open source Moodle, but we also help them to integrate with the Big Blue Button that is run on some cluster of KENET servers, about 40 of them, but also provide some statistics portal in terms of how many students attended, how active were they, basically how many lectures has the lecturer done in the semester, and so on and so forth. So that we actually collect the information from the different tools, and then we're able to present, so the university management or the person in charge of e-learning is able to now see how the different lecturers performed, the student attendance, which students were not able to attend all the classes, and so on and so forth. I think I'll skip this. in the interest of time. But yeah, I think I've handled most of the items there. So in terms of the Moodle, we actually have about 54 institutions or universities that actually host the LMS inside the country, and we support them to ensure that the LMSs are able to support the assessments, the teaching, and so on and so forth, because they are those who do the assessments also online. And we have also helped them to integrate with proctoring tools so that even those who are doing the exams from outside the university are able to also do it successfully. Also on the web conferencing tool, we also have about 50 universities who actually use the local platform as their primary tool for teaching. So this is just basically a screenshot of the statistics that we are able to provide per institution. So each institution has unique credentials to log in, and they'll be able to see the statistics from the institution in terms of number of classes and so on and so forth, and they can drill down to classes and class size per lecturer. We also do capacity development, and the idea is to support content development inside our member institutions, because there is no e-learning without having digital content. And we have been trying to push the idea that scanning your notes or some slides and putting them in the LMS is actually not digital content, yeah? So you need to break them into smaller modules, put in some exercises, throw in some videos, do some audio, do some tasks, and then that is now what is uploaded in the learning management system. So there are things that we started doing in about 2009. We supported one of the universities in Kenya, Kenyatta University, to actually, they had a project of teaching some girls in the northern part of Kenya, primarily or mainly dominated by Muslim girls who were not, because of many other cultural issues, could not come and stay in Nairobi for a whole year studying, yeah? So we worked with the university to take content to the girls in the area in Marsabit, yeah? So we provided, at that time there was some advanced technology called netbooks. Netbooks were some affordable and, how would I say, power efficient devices that you could use. At that time in 09, mobile phones or smartphones we have now are not that prevalent. So what we did is we loaded content there so that even the students who are at home, they would actually do the exercises and so on and so forth. Then once a week they would go to a school nearby so that the data would actually be uploaded into the LMS if there are any assignments, and then they are able to interact with the lecturers. At that time we did about 82 modules in Bachelor of Education Arts. However, from about 2021 we have also done additional 185 modules supporting institutions that are in nursing, medicine, and so on and so forth, so that we are able to also just put in examples or basically trigger some of the departments to be able to convert some of the courses into what can be done online. We also do the capacity building of faculty, where we actually are able to bring the faculty together, train them on how to use some of the tools, on how to develop content, and so on and so forth. But we also support research in education technology. Some of the things we have done is to support some of the universities to develop labs using Raspberry Pi. That we did a long time ago, about 2015. But this year we also have put in some teams who we support with about $15,000 to do some research in how you can teach using AI, yeah, or generative AI, but also how you can assess in the era of generative AI. This was informed by, we had held some forum, and there are students who came and told us, you know, we have lazy lecturers, and what we do with the lazy lecturers is they give us notes, and we know we are able to get their question papers over 10 years. So I'm told that there are AI tools. You take the notes you are given, you upload. Then for each year, you upload the exam question. Then to extract all the exam questions and give the students and tell them this year, these are the questions that will come. Because it has analyzed and said every 3 years, this type of question comes, every 2 years this type of question comes, and so on and so forth. And then it also gives them the answers. So they don't need to read too hard, they just need to read what the AI tool has generated for them. So we said, you see, we need to make the lecturers aware that some of these things are happening, and they need to see how do you assess in the era of generative AI. So the school I was talking about, that's where it is, in the northern part of the country. And this is a lab that we did back in 2010. This we did in 2010. And it's still being used in some cases for actually teaching girls in marginalized areas in the northern part of Kenya. So we also have some infrastructure. So we support the institutions with digital repositories for uploading and sharing of master's theses, undergraduate research papers, and so on and so forth. Learning management systems have already spoken about that, as well as library systems that have also spoken about it, where we not only support them with installing the tools inside the campus, but also enabling them to be able to allow their users to access the library services while they are not on inside the campus. The virtual labs, I think these are also skipped, but we support the users with some compute resources and pre-configured appliances. So if there is a lecturer who wants to teach their students about probably some AI tools, there are appliances that have PyTorch, TensorFlow already pre-configured. If you want to do probably some it can even be R or RStudio, we already have that in place. But we also support them with some physical training lab that's based on Cisco, as well as some virtual training labs for purposes of networking. So future initiatives, on future initiatives, one of the things that we are focusing on is for how can ideally medicine or nursing or surgery be also or leverage on technology for ensuring that some of the procedures and some of the specialized medical training actually moves to probably some using ICT. And one of the things that we are trying to do is to equip some theaters in some teaching hospitals with cameras, and also have some resource center where, as you all know, when the doctors are doing rounds or they want to do a surgery, in a theater only so many people can get into a theater. So now the rest of the students are disadvantaged. So what we are trying to do is it possible that we can equip these theater rooms with cameras, and then the rest of the students who cannot get into the theater can actually follow the procedure that the specialist is doing. So the specialist can actually teach them while they are not inside the theater, but they are in a resource center, and whatever the surgeon is doing is being streamed to them. So that's one of the things we are trying to do, so that the students are exposed to different surgical procedures and all those other tasks that the surgeons or the specialists do in hospitals. Something else we are doing is to try to enhance the virtual labs for STEM. And for this, we are looking at, is it possible to even look at chemistry? If there are some areas that need to be simulated, is it possible that we can set up something for our institution so that because one of the things we find, even for me when I was still a student, we used to buy ICs, we used to buy resistors for us to go and do the labs, yeah? So is it possible that we enable some of the students currently to just have a way that they can simulate some of those circuits or some of the chemical labs or procedures, so that they get a feeling of how it would be in the real world, even without really doing some of the things in the real world. Then finally is also AI in teaching and assessment. So I think these have already spoken about it. Now, in conclusion, just for your case, for your institution, do you think that e-learning is strategic for your institution? So as you go away, think about it so that you're able to see if it is, you think it's needed, you think it's strategic, then start thinking about how you can support your institution to enable teaching with technology at your institution, yeah? And also find out what you need to do, who the partners can be, so that you're able to enable that. Then also, what do you think you need to transform e-learning at your institution, yeah? Maybe this, we can get one or two answers. Any volunteers? What do you think you can do? This is the problem of once we have eaten. People have ideas. It's not possible that we don't have ideas, but we can. In Kenya, we normally say, if people don't volunteer, you volunteer them. So we can volunteer. I think I can volunteer Kampala. I can volunteer Kampala. You have volunteered. What do you think? What do you think you need to do at KIU to just enhance teaching with technology or e-learning? Yeah, the team has volunteered you. Thank you.
Good afternoon once again. Yeah, let me streamline it down to KIU. Presently, what he was talking about, we're as well thinking of going fully on e-learning, and that's why we've been having some discussions with some experts in the industry. But streamlining it down to the question, what do I think that needed to be done to transform the e-learning at the Institute? One of the things it is to ensure that you get most of the e-learning tools, because what we have in the institution presently now is like having the e-learning portal, so that it can ensure communication between the student and as well the lecturer, and also getting the media boards, so that just as what he said before, apart from the platform itself, getting the media boards will help in the aid of being able to lecture the student via the e-learning platform. The student don't necessarily need to be there in the classroom, or to be in the in the school premises, so that they can be able to be part of whatever their lecturer is saying. With the media board or the e-learning studio, it will definitely help the lecturers, so that whatever they are teaching will automatically transmit down to the application, and from the application, once the student logs in, they will be able to be part and parcel of what the lecturer is doing. Okay,
thank you, thank you. You see, he had very good ideas. You can volunteer the next person. Oh, is there a volunteer? Is there a volunteer? We have a volunteer. Thank you. Just briefly, as we conclude.
Yes, just like the previous speaker has mentioned, making e-learning interactive is one way in which we can transform that, especially with means of visual aids, especially videos. And the other one is coming up with collaborative learning environments, like peer learning.
Thank you, thank you. I think those have been good feedback. And see, at the end of the day, even, there is even more. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. Kaseke and Osama from Lira University. Mine is just additional to what the previous speakers have said. It's about streamlining the content to suit e-learning deliveries. That is my point.
Okay, thank you very much. So, I think as I conclude, I have a few of the things that maybe people need to look at, not exhaustive or conclusive. But one of the key lessons you have learned is there has to be institutional culture change. Yeah? We have lecturers who have been teaching in a certain way, and there needs to be a lot of buy-in so that they're able to change how or to adopt the new ways of teaching, new ways of assessment, so that needs to be looked at. There has to also be incentives. I know you are not the ones in the team that need to look at it, but there has to be incentive for those who are developing the content, yeah? Then who will own the content? Is there, in case the lecturer leaves and the university still continues to use that? So those are some of the things that need to be looked at. Maybe there are those who will need a strategy. There are those who will need to ensure the faculty are engaged. There could actually be maybe workload. There is too much workload, not just for the lecturers, but also for the ICT staff, yeah? Maybe there are no end-user devices. It's possible that there are no policies. Maybe the tools are not adequate, yeah? Or maybe there isn't enough budget. So all these are candidate barriers, but look at the barriers and see what you're able to tackle, and so that you're able to get results in the short term. And as I close, there's a gentleman who was called John Adams. He said that for every problem, it is an opportunity in disguise, or every problem is an opportunity in disguise. So identify the problem at your institution, and there could actually be an opportunity for you as the IT director, for the ICT department, to actually develop a new solution, be innovative in how your institution is teaching or how it is disseminating learning, so that you may actually end up having a leverage as your institution over others who will come in later. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kennedy. I think every single thing he mentioned there, we're going through. We're going through all those teething pains of changing culture, proctoring, instantaneous learning, teaching people new things, but also enabling them. And some of the things you talked about, like the virtualized environments, the virtualized labs, that would really benefit some of us where we have an increasing number, but a reduced budget. So I look forward to continuing this offline. Another round of applause for Kennedy. I think we exhausted our questions for Kennedy. Anyone else? Does anyone have a question for him?
Thank you so much, Kennedy. I don't know how you manage as KENET to go into certain solutions that are supposed to be done at the level of ICT departments at various universities. How do you manage as KENET to support setup of specific things, solutions in the library, solutions to develop content? I'm wondering how you manage to do that at that level. My thinking would be supporting at the top level, but entering into the actual supporting of local solutions seems to be an enormous task. We need to pick a leaf as Renu.
Thank you. I think there's another one. Maybe you can take all of them, then I answer all at once. Thank you.
Thank you, Presenter. John Scarborough University. The biggest challenge we find in Uganda is that the users, especially who are students, the end devices, the challenge of having laptops. For example, in rural areas, for example, Kabade, where I come from, it is one of the major challenges. How has KENET endeavored to ensure that at least the students, even the staff, each one has an end user device to use, because that is so challenging here in Uganda. Thank you.
I believe that's it. I can go ahead. Yes, yeah, so thank you for the very good questions. So, yeah, the first one is how KENET has done these things, and ideally the responsibility of the university. Yeah, so it's a long story. Over the years, we have realized that based on how the university ecosystem is, our universities have been finding it difficult to retain their high-end staff. So there is a very high churn at the institutions. So initially we started by trying to influence at the top so that they're able to review and find strategies of retaining the staff. But then that is a slow process, yeah? Doing salary reviews and all that is a long process. So what we decided is, because see, you would help someone, then they would set it up, leave after 2 years, there's a new team that is not skilled, then we are called to support again. So we said, what we would be doing is, because we would ensure that we have some specialized staff inside KENET. So we have an instructional designer with an assistant. So they are the ones who engage the lecturers and try help them. We identify institutions. Sometimes institutions come to us and tell us, yeah, we need some support to develop content in these areas. And these are the lecturers. And then, so those lecturers, we train them as trainers of trainers at their institutions, yeah? So we train them, and also those who we are hand-holding to develop the content, we are given by the university so that we're able to train them so that they become the champions in the institution. So that is the idea. So we have, but also in terms of the systems, we have expertise in doing Moodle, in doing Koha, in doing DSpace for repositories. So we have a critical core team, but we also conduct the capacity building. So whenever we are helping the university or the institution, we are helping the ICT department because we see ourselves as an extension of the ICT department. Whenever they have a problem, they know that there is a specialist of Moodle at KENET. They know we have a specialist for DSpace. So they know we have some specialization and they're able to come to us for assistance. Then for the end user devices, in Kenya, we used to have some program by the government where the government was trying to trigger acquisition of devices. And at that time, I think about 2016, the government was providing some subsidies for buying laptops. It worked for some cases, it didn't work for other cases, but over time we have been encouraging our universities that they actually put in during the admission process that, or when they send the letters to the students before they join in first year, they're told for your course, this is the type of laptop you need, yeah? So we help the universities to specify 5 different categories of laptops. So if someone is doing arts, there are specification, minimum specifications of laptops, all the way to laptops for a lecturer. Yeah, there's a laptop for those who are doing engineering or computer-aided design and so on and so forth. So the universities that have picked it up, and they have incorporated, the private universities, some have incorporated it into the fees. Yeah. However, there are always those who are not able to afford. Even just getting a phone is difficult in terms of students. So for those, we have been encouraging the universities to set up computer labs, and also to allow some, if say a student is coming from one area and during the holidays they are at another location, is it possible for them to be allowed at certain times to probably use some of the facilities that are near the institution? So it is still a work in progress. However, there has to be deliberate effort by the university management to support the device acquisition by students, and those who are not able to afford, we still have to provide some resource centers where they're able to access, because there are those who will not be able to afford, even if provide them a 4-year payment plan for those devices. But at KENET, we have supported the institutions, we have done the specifications. We also ran a program of student laptop purchase program in 2021. We got some students who actually purchased, so the idea was we had some arrangement with some vendors, and then the students would take the laptops and pay over some time. Some universities embraced, others were a little bit skeptical, they didn't embrace, but we have seen that has also improved the device acquisition. However, some of the efforts have to be steered by the university management. Thank you.